Understand?
Hey everybody, I'm Tony Jones, and welcome to the Tony Jones Show.
There's just not enough people are willing to take the risk. It's just sort of a herd mentality, a lemming-like mentality. If you don't go with the flow, you're anti-American and therefore a suspect.
The Tony Jones Show, featuring punk, rockabilly, psychobilly, and Providence, Rhode Island's finest, starts right now.
He's a dangerous militia member, I hear.
Oh, and there she blows.
Friends, the time for mediocrity in broadcasting is over. My name is Tony Jones, and you are tuned in to the Tony Jones Show, your destination for talk and rock, online at TonyJones.org. It's Facebook.com/Tony Jones Show, and on the almighty Twitter at Tony Jones in RI. With me, as always, is my occasional frequent co-host, Mr. George Garner. George, good evening.
Good evening, but we're going to have to settle on an adjective. I don't know what. Sometime? I don't know. Less than frequent and more than seldom.
More than never.
Yeah.
It all comes down to the Slack. You know, I was at an event a few weeks ago, and we had to put those little "hello, my name is" name tags on, and then the organizations, and then the slashes. And I was thinking that if I put my name and then all the slashes, I'd be like a North Korean general. My name tag would go down to my gut. Tony Jones Show / Libertarian Party / Rhode Island Free Radio / National Organization to Reform Marijuana Law. I mean, it would have went down to my front butt.
Okay, so my big question is, so which title did you settle on?
I think at the end of the day, I just ended up writing Tony Jones on there. I don't want to get writer's cramp filling out a hello, which I hate for some reason. You know how there's just things that irk you. Those hello, my name is tags irk me in the first place, especially as someone who goes to business networking nights.
Right.
I hate those stupid things, but a lot of times you go to these events, people demand, there's someone at the door and they demand that you put on this name tag.
Yeah, God forbid that you strike up conversations and exchange names and information that way.
God forbid you actually, pass out your business card and make a little bit of money.
Right.
we wouldn't want that to happen.
Well,
in
like
these
I
parts.
say, the purpose for those hellos cards is to remove the necessity of probing conversation.
And you can squint at the person to read their name tag before you decide if you're going to even waste your time going over there.
Yeah, actually, basically, you can, from what I've learned at these events, you can basically give a person, a quick look over, and you will know in like 10 seconds if you want to waste your time or not.
Or if you go and 99% of the people are realtors, and there's, me.
Yeah, 99% realtors, 99% insurance agents, 99% musicians, 99% anything is bad.
So you made a good call. Speaking of making money, you made a good call on Friday night because our gig, in fact, did not happen. Now, the worst part is I had already placed my drums into the car before I found out that it was time to turn around. However, I did not leave the lot here.
That's terrible.
Our friends at the
what exactly?
So the Fat Squirrel allowed to open back up, working through their legal problems. However, one of the I'm not sure what the exact word is, but
stipulations.
Licensing stipulation was to hire a detail police officer to be at the club. So they open up, they think everything's fine. The licensing board comes in, gives them the check over, and they say, "Well, where's your
police officer?
Detail police officer?" Well, we didn't get one. Well, guess what? I know tonight was the night you're supposed to open back up, but we're closing you back down.
Now, my only question about that would be, when they were granted, the right to reopen and given their license back, weren't those stipulations made clear to them at some point when they stood in front of the regulators? And
see, I'm assuming it's one of those situations, giving them the benefit of the doubt as a great business in Providence. It was probably one of those things that it was in the fine print and they were handed a stack of papers like anything else to do with bureaucracy or the government,
right.
And kind of being shaken down by the licensing board. It was probably in a stack of papers, and they were just happy to be able to open up their doors and try to recruit
they
some of the
saw
money.
reopen at the top of the page, in big letters. And,
all right, let's open up.
Yeah.
So what we're going to try to do is we're going to get some folks together. Now, we talked about it on the air. Unfortunately, separately, someone who was really affected by this is Ted, who has Halfway Tree Jamaican Cuisine, because he had nothing to do with the incident that happened at the club, but because they share a space, he hasn't been allowed to do business for about 2 weeks now.
Right.
And it's such especially in the wintertime, it's such a small profit margins for restaurants in the first place, and he hasn't been able to do business for a week and a half. So if you follow me on social media, Facebook.com/Tony Jones Show, and on Twitter @TonyJonesNRI, we're going to work on getting a group of folks to go in and kind of support this business, kind of a money bomb type
basically
deal.
Stuff ourselves to the size of fat squirrels.
Now, that's perfect. Now, you guys all know some of the sizable gentlemen that I hang out with, so I'm assuming even if I can just get a small group of my pals together, folks like DJ Psycho Eddie, folks like the P.O. Taxpayer, we might be able to help them out just with our food bill. So we should be in pretty good shape for.
Okay, so now the Squirrel is closed down again going forward, or was just that night they weren't allowed to have the show?
Yeah,
or?
it was just that night, and now I'm assuming they know they need a detail officer there. So
okay, and now we'll be able to have that restaurant blowout.
Yeah.
Okay, it hasn't been scheduled
And
yet?
we haven't set an actual date yet. That's why I'm suggesting folks follow us on social media in the meantime, and we'll get a date and a time to get as many people as we can down there to chow down and help this business out.
Yep, Jamaican food, and now we're not going to try to cross promote here. We're not going to bring tremendous amounts of cannabis in there and get shut down, because I know how some of you guys think. I'm just thinking ahead here. I mean, we don't want another shutdown.
I guess if we have the cannabis ahead of time, then we'll be able to provide even more business to Halfway
right,
Tree.
but that's my point. In other words, you guys will not make the mistake of having large amounts of cannabis products promoting your other important cause on the same night that this poor guy's restaurant opens for business again.
Well, in Providence, it's kind of getting to the point where there's just that smell of skunk constantly in certain districts.
Right, but just keep in mind that now there will be a police officer on duty, obviously, standing inside the doorway of the Fat Squirrel at all times, obviously. So it might be the wrong idea to... You get where I'm going with this. I mean...
I have to weigh in, and yes, I did play on the words with the word weigh on this one. DJ Psycho Eddie here, everybody. If you go to pretty much any nightclub at this point in the state of Rhode Island, if they have any smoking area whatsoever... Mm-hmm. The smell of skunk, the aroma of the devil's lettuce is very, very, very real.
Yes, but my point is that you don't want to give the powers that be an excuse.
If you are not directly in front of that building, they cannot associate you with what's going on, except for in the case of gunshots, because bullets have been known to travel.
Well,
but if you're in the parking lot across the street, or if you're down one building, are they going to associate it with the art studio or whatever? They can't automatically assume you are there. Even though you are either on your way there or just coming from there, they cannot attribute it to that establishment.
Oh, granted. All I was doing was warning people against the temptation of lighting up right at the Jamaican restaurant's table.
Well, I think
the two things go together, and I just wanted to make sure that nobody was...
Well, there is nothing that goes better with a fat sack of beef patties, Jamaican beef patties, than another fat sack.
Right.
Now, the strange thing to me is, and you all know that I am a staunch advocate for the legalization of marijuana, but I very rarely, if ever, partake because it makes me paranoid. So just the thought of being out in public and sparking up a joint, whether it's in front of a club or in the courtyard, I mean, that freaks me out. I can't imagine that.
Right. I wonder how many people... Now, I'm in the same boat. I quit smoking years ago, but I'm still 100% in favor. I wonder how many people are basically... supporters without being consumers of the product.
I think a lot of people look at it on the war on drugs being a failure and how especially cannabis illegalization has just decimated communities of color. And I think as a common sense thing, there's a lot of folks who even haven't touched it in years or never touch the stuff that...
Right, just as a matter of principle, we have to be.
Right.
You have to be.
There's a lot of people that just the idea, even though they're maybe against marijuana, the idea that we're not allowed to grow a plant irks them a little bit.
Yeah, it irks me more than a little.
Let's get down to some music. Actually, this kind of ties in with events around town because we're going to hear from Michael Graves up next off of the Night of Sam Hain, and he'll be at Firehouse 13 on May 1st with a little band called Tony Jones and the Cretin 3. It's also going to be the debut of Wolfman Chuck and the Brimstone Boys, and it's going to be a great night. Michael Graves out on tour right now. Off of his latest release, Night of Sam Hain, we're going to hear Dead Man right here on The Tony Jones Show.
Cemetery high, he was sending shivers down my spine when I was passing by. Oh, heavy glow of food on the rise above the broken crib. Oh, open door and dead hand in the light is reaching out for me. Deadly sight from a swollen eyelid stand upon me through the dark. He will never be a man again and waste so much life. Oh.